I love these Toss Roundtable discussions. Thank you.
6 years and still feel like a noob.
Okay, so we have 3 new yeses, 3 nos. All right, that's what I kind of figured. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. Okay, yeah.
How many on the chat? How about another poll? Toss, you've been on since
10.
2010.
2006 with Linux. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say how many people with 10 years or better on Linux or possibly a BSD type of operating system?
Sure.
How many people do we have over 10 years?
So it's a mixture, yes or no. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I started Linux back in 06 using it out of curiosity. I was curious. And I started the channel in 2010 because it just, look, 10 years ago, there was no Toss Today. There was no Switch to Linux, Destination Linux. There was none of those decent channels today. So I learned it on my own. So I've taken the pain, you could say, I've sucked in the pain that a new user might take in to make that new user avoid the pain that I went through, learning it pretty much on my own.
So we've got Tux 1313 is over 10.
Okay.
RS is over 10. Terry Love over 10 years. King of Games, Mandrake in the late 90s.
Okay.
Scott Langgood, not over 10 years. Steve Anderson, not over 10 years.
Okay. Cool.
I was curious. Other people say I was strange. I've had that happen to me too.
You know, I don't think Windows users realize that there are, hi Jonathan, that there are choices out there, maybe or maybe not, to replace Windows. Here's the thing. No matter what kind of community, Linux community, technology community there is on YouTube, no matter how friendly it may be, no matter what podcasts or shows that you do, if you cannot be transparent up front with that Windows user and say, for example, look, in my situation, I've been using Linux for 12 years. I cannot fully switch to Linux because gaming, even though I'm not really a gamer, but let's just say I was gaming. I cannot switch because of graphics drivers sometimes suck. Actually, a lot of times they suck. Let's be transparent up front. Be honest with, and maybe because I think we haven't been fully, or in the past, that market share for Linux is still about 2 and 3%, which is not that all that great, we'll be honest, you know. But you need to be transparent up front and say, look, it may not work for you 90% of the time, but it may work for you 10% of the time or more. And that 10% of the time may make you the happiest technology user on earth. Yep. To transfer to Linux, because pretty much no malware, not impossible. You don't have to reboot 6 times to upgrade your system. It's going to run faster. You have more choices. You can revive the old desktop or laptop. It can be done. But you need to be transparent up front. If you're not, they're not going to care if your show is famous or flashy production, because you're not telling them the truth up front. Now that takes some, as we say in Italian, faccia tost. You need to have a stone face or a hard face or big ones to take the beating from the Linux community that says, you don't know what you're talking. And I went through that for years. Fine, I'm a big boy. But in the end, I'm still standing, because you need to be upfront. That doesn't mean I'm always right or whoever. You be upfront. Look, this is what happened to me. Like on my other desktop, Kdenlive constantly freezes. I don't know if it's, you know, it was an update, or it could be my machine's going bad. Maybe the hard drive's going bad. I don't know. But it can happen. You need to be upfront. Then let that Linux newbie decide if Toss was telling the truth or not. Give them the information, you know. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I feel 12 years later after using Linux. Be upfront. And don't be afraid to make an idiot out of yourself if you say something wrong. The point is to contribute to the common good of humanity. In this case, it's the common good of technology community, you know.
Yep. You know, the one thing with the Linux market share, if you this for me, if I just put it in perspective, you have essentially two companies promoting their own proprietary operating system, and then you have Linux as a whole. You know, these huge companies, being Microsoft or Apple, they have a lot of money behind them. They have tons of money. They pay a lot of people a lot of money to do what it is. What it is a community and essentially has done with a full operating system. And something that essentially, the Linux users may look at it as a science project in some way, shape, or form. The world, you know, the world of technology may look at it from that perspective. You know, it isn't all that bad for something that could be, say, a garage product. Garage project.
And
for a guy like me who just wants to sit down and have my computer work and have a transparent operating system. It works.
I mean, it would have been much light years easier for me back in 2006 if there was a DT tube, like a distro tube, or a destination Linux or a switch to Linux. It would have been much, but there wasn't. Linux was not, I won't say it's mainstream, it's more mainstream now, but back in 06, it was like, hey, have you heard of Linux? That's just the reality, man. Now it's not that silly. But I was looking at market share, it's still between 2 and 3%, and that's not good. But you know, we're trying.
You know, the
sugar coating does more damage, than good. Yes, Mark.